Hey, mess makers. Before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to join the MESy mailing list. This is where I will be dropping exclusive content, including tools, sneak peeks on what's coming up, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions or thoughts, this is your way to get interactive with me and with Inside Out. So make sure you head over to the show notes to sign up, and I'm super excited to get messy with you guys. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, JoJo, and this is where we will navigate the mess together. That is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back. And also a special welcome to my guest, and welcome back, I should say, to Yosef Yeshurun. I'm sitting here with him in person this time, and I'm so stoked because I knew I wanted him back on the podcast immediately when he originally came on the podcast to talk about relationships. But he has a new, really cool addition in his life and a platform that he's put out. And so I figured it was about time we sat down and had a conversation about career and aligning with our purpose and what that really looks like from a Kabbalistic sense and a spiritual lens. So, Yosef, welcome back.
Thank you, Jojo. Glad to be here. Had a lot of fun on the first time I was on the podcast, and I was like, we got to do it in person this time. Better audio quality and just rapport and everything. So,
absolutely
excited to be here.
This is great. Well, thank you. Thank you. So, before we dive in, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about that really cool platform that you just launched and what really made you launch it. And it started with a group chat on WhatsApp. So can you kind of talk about the evolution of that and why that was something that you felt really called to do?
So long story short, this is at the beginning of 2024, a year and a half ago. I won't go into the whole reason of how, but basically I decided, I'm going to do daily content, not on social media, on a group chat. I haven't yet gotten into the social media world. I feel like anyway.
It's a tough one for sure.
It's a topic for another podcast, for another episode.
Okay.
But I'm like, you know what? I have students that aren't on my chat. So let me, I was really busy with other projects, and I'm like, I want to give them something so that they have, even if they don't always have my time. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to study something new every day and record myself and post on the WhatsApp chat. So I started doing that, and it was great. And I was really surprised because it's kind of daunting. Any challenge is always daunting, or else we would have done it. But I challenged myself. That eventually grew into more people on the chat. So I opened a new chat for my non-students.
You had 1,000 people.
Yeah. So it eventually grew a lot to 1,200 people, which is weird because I had to open up another chat.
And it was so cool because you were talking about little tidbits, whether it was the weekly energy or just the daily, whatever you were thinking about or talking about. And it would be as simple as reframing a mindset around the way you were communicating with a person, or just the way you woke up in the morning. It was a really nice way to reframe and restructure and kind of start the day. I always looked forward to your little daily drops.
Yes, exactly. So it was something definitely unexpected, but I just put the content out there, put my effort, and maybe a handful of times I told people, hey, if you are inspired by this, here's the link to join this group, send it to 3 of your friends. And it just naturally, I never marketed it. I never told anybody. Just maybe 4 times I told people that this is a thing, and it was free content, so it was why not? It was free content. And early on, I'm like, okay, there's a following. How can I, do something with this? How can I monetize this? Because, I work for the Kabbalah Center, and, one of the teachers in London, Avi Nachmias, said something so powerful. He says, we're a nonprofit, not non-income, which is so powerful because in order to do the work, to sustain the message, you need to make the money, right? That's what funds everything that we're doing. So I'm always trying to find ways, either through clean donations or also through the other aspects of the center. If we had more people in the classes and things like that, it would just be more self-sustaining, which is really healthy for businesses, but for nonprofits that are trying to do their work, it's very important. So if I'm anyway spending all this time, how can I use this as another platform to bring in more money to the center?
So it's solely for the center. You personally are not monetizing on this.
Right. This is not going to me. This is my time, my work, But
that's incredible.
So it's interesting because, and this is maybe a whole other topic, but within the center, and I feel like you can find things like this in other places, but you kind of need to build, this might be a triggering word, but your brand within a brand, right? So not like make a name of yourself for the sake of ego, but if people don't know you and if you don't let yourself be seen, then it's not good for you. It's not good for the place you work for. It wouldn't be good for the center either.
So, and this applies to anything. It's not just in the center. This applies to whether you're in a marketing firm, whether you're any point in your life, you have to be an individual at the end of the day.
Right, exactly. So, in real estate, there's, you have your team and you're a team within the organization. So whatever's good for the team is good for the organization.
Exactly.
And you see it when there's the people that have the name and the experience. People flock to their classes, and it's positive, right? So this was more of a mini business within a business, not the business in terms of profit, but in terms of, bringing it all into the center. But you got to kind of do your own thing in a way within the confines. Yeah. So I launched this platform, which is basically, I call it Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is not going to replace Netflix, but the people who like the stuff on Paramount Plus, they'll do it in addition to Netflix, right? Or in addition to wherever their thing is. People would invest in specific types of content that they relate to, and also the style of the content. So what makes my platform, or what I'm doing, unique is that there's no one in the center doing, at least on the website, Kabbalah.com, you don't have the ability to have content go straight to you. Mm-hmm. You got to go to the website. But what I like about the WhatsApp chat is that it's content that's going to you. So I'm recording something every day, fresh, and now it's going to you. You don't need to, because what happens is, you have to go to a website, whether it's for entertainment or for content or for training or for courses. You got to go to the content. In this case, it's kind of, it's kind of coming to you. So it's something new, it's something unique, and there's a way to monetize it. And I'm only scratching the surface.
That's great, because I think the birth of this concept that you are building out and now that you're monetizing on, it was something that was already in alignment with who you are, what you're doing, why you feel like you're in this world. And there's such a discrepancy with our world right now and our generation, or just work in general. It's like you've got work and you've got life. Yeah. And there's not that interwoven sort of fabric that is part of your world that is coming out through your work. And I think what's so beautiful about what you're doing and what I want to talk about and what I want to inspire people to think about and hopefully shake them out of whatever rut that they're in is it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. And we don't have to just go and do the 9 to 5. And maybe it is do the 9 to 5, but is that something that's exciting you and that you're passionate about? Because it's so clear in what you do that you are passionate about it. You're not doing it because you feel like you have to. You're not clocking in and clocking out. You're no, this is part of my essence. This is part of my being. So what would you say for people who don't have maybe that cohesion in their inner soul world and that ego-facing reality that they're living every single day?
The whole concept of career is fascinating. Funnily enough, just this morning I was talking to somebody and he was saying that he's unemployed right now, but he had great jobs for the last 10 years. But he told me something interesting. He said he only went from job to job, but never had a career, which means, and we're talking about worthiness and all that kind of stuff. But the word career, which by the way, I don't think is necessarily for everyone. But the distinction of career is that you're investing in something long term.
That's a really interesting point. I've never actually split the two. Right. I think I've always just assumed, and not actually consciously, but yes, because there is a very clear difference. But you've got a really good point there.
Yeah. And sometimes, and I find it fascinating that this whole topic of investing in your career is really investing in yourself. Investing in yourself is investing in your career. And sometimes we don't even think of it like that, or we don't even take the time, not just take the time, but we don't even feel the importance of investing in ourselves because there's worthiness issues sometimes. Or am I really...
That's a whole other...
That's a whole other dragon, I know. But I think it does go hand in hand, because if it's just a job, it's fine. But if it's...
Is it?
It's fine for certain, meaning what's there to do? For a job, you just need credentials. For a career, you need courage and you need an identity shift. Wow. Your career is a part of your identity. I'm a doctor, right? When you're a doctor, when you work at the bookstore somewhere, you don't say I'm a bookstore, right? I'm a doctor. It's a...
I don't know why that got me.
It's but yes. You've invested so much energy and money and time into yourself, into what you do, and that's building something. There's something fulfilling about building something. Sometimes we don't, again, either invest the time, but really it's like this internal shift of, am I worthy? Identity, and also the word I always forget, the syndrome. Imposter syndrome. I don't like that term, but imposter syndrome, right? Like, oh, am I really good at this? So if somebody wants to have a fulfilling career, and I don't believe that it's in everyone's tikkun or everyone's movie.
Okay. Wait,
you
just said tikkun. Can you explain what tikkun means?
Yeah.
Because that's a very Kabbalistic term.
Yeah. So according to Kabbalah, we have what's called a tikkun, which is multifaceted. There's a lot of explanations, but it's both the gifts and goodness and light that you're meant to reveal in the world. At the same time, it's all the dragons you have to beat to reveal that goodness. A lot of it comes through like patterns and struggles and failures. So it's like kind of like destiny, but also life's mission, and also...
So it's your soul's correction.
It's your soul's correction. Thank God, yes. So it's not in everyone's soul correction, movie, destiny.
To have a fulfilling career.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Some people, they just need the 9 to 5. They sell spices in Morocco and they go back to their family. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Right? That's their stuff. Because they've found that their version, what is true, what it has to happen for everybody, Kabbalistically, is we can never be fulfilled if we do not feel we're contributing to something. Contribution is the upon which every fulfilling career is built. So somebody, for example, selling spices in Morocco, they're feeling like they're contributing to society. I'm doing my job. I'm also providing money for my family, and my family is my biggest value. I'm providing. I'm contributing. There's something going on here. Am I changing the world? No. But who says I have to? What you have to do is to contribute or feel like you're contributing to something. That for sure has to happen. When people feel lost sometimes, they're going from job to job to job to job. It's like, that's the macrocosm. The big, but even we all experience it, right? Have you ever had days or even weeks where it's like, I did so much this week, but what did I do?
Before I made this career shift, I would be slammed like morning till night, and it just was so unfulfilling. And it was like I was everywhere all over the New York area, but it's like it's draining and it just didn't feel fulfilling. And it's that feeling of like, yeah, but like I was so busy and I didn't have time to do the things that would actually feed my soul and make me happy. But like, what did I actually just do? And it's okay. Then I could be like, well, I'm contributing to making clothes, and like, I'm not passionate about that, unfortunately. Like, yes, it's aligned me and put me in the places that I can be to work on other things. And I'm very grateful for that, but it wasn't fulfilling to me. And I think making that shift for me personally, now it's like, wow, I feel limitless. Because now it's human Can I talk? Now it's human connection. I don't think I can. Now it's human connection and just bigger like purpose. Even with Inside Out, even with aviation, it's like completely different.
Yeah, because you're building towards something. And that's one of the things that there's, I guess, a couple of different challenges to get there. I would say that one of them is really looking in the mirror and doing the work, the inner work, the messy work, the spiritual work of looking in the mirror and being like, who are you? What are you? What are you about? What are you contributing? In Kabbalah, we talk about this idea of divine sparks, how the Creator we all have a divine spark of God, of the Creator within us. But how does that look like? What does that even mean? Like, oh, we're all good? Not all of us are that good at everything, right? But an easy way to understand your divine spark is the way you channel goodness to this world. The way you channel goodness to this world. When you see people who are exceptionally good in certain things, like an amazing violinist, or an amazing singer, like you feel, oh my God, that's a piece of God being revealed right now. That's how I view it. I'm like, this is a piece of the Creator being revealed to me right now, and this is like amazing.
It's like anytime I watch anyone thrive or do anything that they're just insanely good at, whether it's sports or theater or like, the playoff games are happening right now. And like watching that, like I might not even be a fan of that team, but just watching them just kill it at what they're good at just gives me all of this, like, I don't know, it makes me emotional. Like I cry watching other people thrive.
Yeah.
Because it's just so empowering. And I'm like, this is what you're meant to do. Like you are here to, even if it's play hockey, like that's what you're here to do. Like it's incredible to like watch people just soar.
Yeah, it's inspiring. You feel the godness and the goodness. So I don't necessarily love the question, what are you good at? It's a terrible place to start.
Okay.
I don't like that.
Okay.
It doesn't always help. But everybody, I think a better place to start is looking in the mirror and saying, and accepting upon yourself, I have goodness within me.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to channel it in some way. Do I know all the time what it is? I don't. Not necessarily, but the way I care for my friends, the way I'm really passionate about certain things, and I'm actually good at something like that. And it might not even be like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a career move. It could also be like, you're contributing to your community because nobody in your community knows about AI and you're mildly interested in AI, and look at the service you're providing to your friends. Right? Mm-hmm. It could even just be that. Now, think a bit from the recipient side. How do I know that that's God? Because look at the recipient, right? You have your, 25-year-old kid person. I say kid now because now I'm in my 30s. You could say kid, right? No offense. And they're helping their grandma on Facebook how to, watch a video or fix the internet or whatever. Now, that's not exactly fulfilling, but to the recipient's perspective, right? What happens every time we do somebody a favor or we help somebody? They say, wow, you're a king. Thank you so much. I love you forever. Like, this is God. You're a godsend. Look, what did I do? Nothing. But look at the recipient. The recipient is calling you God. You assumed the position of God to that person. So I'm just giving a silly example. Not that helping your grandmother with Facebook is a fulfilling thing, but look, it's just proof that there's something good within you. Even something so menial could be so powerful for somebody. You have a whole potential that you're not tapping into. It's not, I don't know about necessarily finding the perfect, I have this perfect idea, I'm going to do that. But start with your contributions. Start with what kind of service can I provide? Whether it's paid or not, right? And, I prefer paid because, how are you going to live?
Yeah.
And also people pay, the people who pay attention. There's a thing like that. But start contributing. Start to do.
Okay. So start to do. I love that. But what about fear? Because there's such a fear factor of the unknown. But what if I fail? Like, what would you say? Are there any spiritual tools or lessons that you can kind of impart on us for people that are like, yeah, but I can't just walk away from this, or I need to, because there's going to be the entire kitchen sink of stories that people are going to throw at you and excuses that they want to make. And I've said them myself. I even talked about when I talked about like switching careers, how one of my friends was like, why didn't you ever become a flight attendant? And I gave him the entire kitchen sink of excuses. And he was like, yeah, that's all BS, Jojo. Like, you know that. And it was total BS.
Yeah.
Because the reality is it only opens up so many other possibilities. And if I wasn't happy, then why would I stay in something I knew that I wasn't going to want to do for the next X amount of years? I even said when I started this in fashion, I should say, I was going to say career, but I don't even want to call it that. When I started in fashion, that I was like, this is just for now. Like, this isn't, but like, when does that shift happen? Because people can keep going down the same path forever. And then they wake up and they're 60 and they have kids and they're miserable still. Maybe they look at their spouse and they're like, well, I hate you because I hate myself and I hate my life. So therefore now everything's a mess.
Yeah. And not the good mess.
No, not the mental, emotional, spiritual mess
Right.
that we are trying to uncover and
Right.
decipher. The literal shit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all a great point. I feel like a big theme in what you just said, that whole scenario, is about like being stuck.
Oh, I hate that word.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to say that word. My mom won't let me say that word.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'll be like, I feel so, and she's like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, don't say stuck. Yeah, stuck meaning not necessarily like it's not moving fast enough, but more you're not moving fast enough.
Impatience. Big tikkun over here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Oh, my
God.
God.
First of all, impatience is our generational tikkun.
Oh.
I mean, why is AI so hot? We're impatient.
We just want everything done, yeah.
Yeah, just like, they say it's about scaling, but 99% of AI users are not anywhere near scaling. Mm-hmm. Scaling is you have a thriving business and you're like, instead of making $100,000, let's make $100 million. That's scaling. Who's there right now? No, we're trying to be like, okay, how can I be more brainless? Let me use AI. So, so we're all impatient. I get that. So definitely impatience plays a big role here. Stuck is about me being stuck. So am I moving? So that's funny. I did you hear this? I think you even commented on it.
What was it?
On Friday, I put like an Instagram story.
Okay.
So I'm not on Instagram, right? But like I had like a spark, like a inspiration. So I was like, some people ask, am I on the right path? Am I on the right path? I'm a flight attendant. Is this the right path for me? Is this the right career for me? How do I know I'm on the right path? How do I know this is the right thing for me?
I did comment on
this. You did, right? You did.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's a valid question, but I'm like, okay, it's a valid question, sure, but it's a little bit big picture. It's like asking, is this person right for me?
You're not going to know unless you go all in.
Yes. But also, what if the answer is yes? Now what? Okay, so she's the one for you. He's the one for you. This is the right job for you. Now what? You're gonna rest now?
Yeah.
So it's only a fruitful question to a certain point, and then you got to ask a better question. And the better question is, am I progressing on this path? So even if it's like the wrong career, even if it's the wrong thing, progress, move forward. Yeah, always ask, is this really the right thing for? But am I moving forward? So okay, I'm married, 6 years, whatever. I'm actually married, 4 years? 4 years. Is she the person for me? Am I progressing in my marriage? Who's asking that? People ask you, how's married life for a month after you're married? And then they stop asking. It would be rude, but it would be interesting if people asked that every year. Of your marriage. How's marriage? Who's going to ask somebody who's married 18 years, how's your marriage?
I mean, I feel like we should be auditing. We audit our business. We audit our...
Exactly.
We clean our house. Like, why are we not cleaning out our relationships? I mean, we're not talking about relationships here, but it's such a good point because you progress. And also, to get away from the word stuck, but paralysis because of too many options or too many choices. You even see people not moving forward. Let's say go back to a relationship. I know, but for relationships for a second, people won't move forward because they're scared. And it's like, all right, well, and people won't move forward on businesses. I mean, even for me, I didn't start a podcast or become a flight attendant because I was scared for 6 years. 6 years. This was 2019, Jojo. If I go back through those journals and I open those up, you're going to see all of these things that I wanted to do, but fear stopped me. I literally kept myself small, stuck, and limited because of my own, tikkuns and things that I needed to push past. And now we all know that divine timing is perfect and everything is meant to happen exactly the way it does. And the reality is I probably wasn't going to be ready at 24. There's a lot of stuff I had to figure out at 24 through 29, and I'm still figuring out. But I wasn't in a place where I could push forward on those things. And I know that in hindsight, it's always 2020. We also are aware of that. But being stuck and keeping ourselves small or just not moving forward because we're scared or fear, like what is on the other side of fear? Because that's, I think, what people don't, I guess, have the ability to look past. They get so consumed.
If we're going to talk about fear, which maybe should be the next podcast, but
none of this is next podcast stuff. We're in this podcast.
We're the present moments. Oh my God, you're going to have such a terrible time picking out a name for this. we're just going to talk about everything.
The names are not my concern. The names come.
It's funny. I'd be a great guest on those podcasts that are like 3.5 hours long?
Yeah.
And they're like drinking whiskey and having lunch and whatever it is. I'd be great on that because we're just going in tangents everywhere. I love it.
But this doesn't have to be anything. It can just be what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
It's a mess. It's a mess in the best way possible. The thing about fear, and especially about should I, make a career change or not, I find the older I get, I find that the scariest prospect, the scariest outcome is the successful outcome.
Oh, wow, that really hit.
Because it's much scarier to say, what if it works, than what if it doesn't work? Because what if it doesn't work is a moment of pain followed by going back into your cave.
It's a cop-out.
What if it works? What comes with that is a lot of responsibility. And that's incredibly frightening. And that goes into the whole career thing, where choosing a career or investing in either yourself or your career, both of which are good. They're two distinct things, but they're both good, is an act of self-love, is an act of saying, I'm willing to be successful and I'm willing to take on that responsibility that comes with it. Because if I am, if I'm doing a certain training of how I can be a better speaker, let's say, how I could be a better podcast guest, like, wow, that's an act of self-love and believing in myself that, wow, I can and I'm willing to be more of a speaker and all that responsibility that comes with that.
I like that. It just reminds me of something someone said once on a podcast about how people keep themselves small and won't pursue certain things because they have that limiting belief. And it's that like competing desires gridlock where you want something, but then you don't want to hire people because that's more responsibility. So then you go back into this vicious circle or cycle because you don't really see yourself evolving and growing. Because you're right. If you do become successful, what if it does work? And it does work.
Right.
there's so much more that's added to your plate. So what is the differentiation in that between like your soul and your ego? Because
big stuff.
if you're choosing to do a career...
I like your shoes, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sorry, podcast listeners. You should really see your shoes. They're nice and white and clean.
That's because they're like a day old.
Oh, there you go. That's the secret.
Buy shoes.
Buy shoes every day.
Problem solved. Okay, so my question is, how do we know if our career decision is coming from soul or ego?
Yeah, great question. So I'll use my platform as an example. So interesting that the language has connotation. Topics are a little taboo. The topic of making money is very taboo. It's like, you can't talk about making money. That's weird, right? But it has this connotation. But suddenly if it's like, we're a nonprofit that wants to change the world and help people improve their lives, suddenly it's like, okay, that's okay. So me saying, you know what, I want to make, and this is really where it came from. I'm like, I don't want to see the center struggle. I don't want to see the center being like, we want to do 7 projects, but we can only do 2. It's heartbreaking. I don't want to do that, right? So I'm like, how can we, and I know that if I'm successful and everybody else is, then it only benefits the community members and the students and the potential. Like there's millions of people out there that are waiting for us to knock on their doors and being like, guys, we're ready for you. And we're like, we've been waiting for you all this time. They do it for them. So the differentiator is why you're doing it. Making money, not making, there's nothing holy about not making money, and there's nothing evil about making money. It's about why you're doing it. So if I'm saying, I want to make money so that I can, provide for your family, that's basic stuff, but so that look what I can do with the money. That's why I want to do it. Right? And when it's that type of when the why is strong, when you have a purpose and that purpose is attached to contribution, then it becomes kosher. That's when it comes from your soul. So to go a little bit Kabbalistic on you for a second, Rav Ashlag, the founder of the center, he writes in the book called Origins of Consciousness. It's a little bit of a complicated, but that's like the base, not the basic. That's like, we have Power of Kabbalah, the course and the book. It's like the basic version of that original book. That was his okay, let me talk to you about how the light works, how the vessel works, how creation works, the whole thing. So he talks about the vessel and the light and what type of vessel reveals light that lasts and what type of vessel reveals light that then disappears. In other words, the ego is the vessel that reveals light that disappears, and the soul is the vessel that reveals light that lasts. Okay. That's the difference between these two things. What is the essence of the soul, that type of vessel? The soul we think is the light, but really the soul is our vessel full of light. He phrases it as desire to receive for the sake of sharing. It's a phrase that we use often in the Kabbalah Center, but unfortunately phrases lose meaning after the 7th time you hear them. So that's just a random number, but so we need to define what that means. Desire to receive, which is the vessel, right? A vessel is I want, right? It's like, I'm thirsty. I have an appetite for something.
It's our physical body.
Right. Well, your physical body is one type of vessel.
Okay.
Your soul is another type of vessel. These are the two.
Got it. Now we're talking about soul and ego, so physical versus spiritual. Okay,
and this is how, in order to define, is my career choice ego or soul, we got to define what ego and soul really mean on a deep, deep rooted level, not a gimmicky explanation. Like what Rav Ashlag would say is ego versus soul. So he says that a kosher vessel, a vessel that reveals light that lasts, is a desire to receive for the sake of sharing, which means somebody with a big appetite, with a big desire, big goals, but their purpose, their why, is rooted in contribution, as opposed to somebody with a big appetite, but their why is rooted in consumption. This is what the difference is between the ego and the soul. Every time, and by the way, our work, because the ego and soul are they're mixed in together. And every time we have this challenge, what's happening is the challenge, it's the Band-Aid that needs to come off. It's the soul that needs to be extracted from the ego. It's painful a little bit, right? So every time I'm like, should I be a flight attendant? Should I make a podcast? Should I launch my business? Should I go and speak? Should I ask her out? All these things, it's like, what's happening is my ego is telling me, stay safe, because it's immediate gratification. Don't do the scary thing.
How is that immediate gratification?
Because look at all it's comfortable. It's immediate comfort.
Because you're not pushing or stretching or growing, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yep.
It's immediate comfort. It's avoiding, right? Avoiding versus dealing. So avoiding is, but ego, the whole idea of instant gratification, which is the ego, is you're cashing out too early. Saying, let me cut my losses, let me just cash out now. Instant gratification, let me just go to the comfort. I don't want to, but look, if you invest a little bit more, you'll make billions.
Yeah.
No, let me just...
It's always on the other side of what you don't want to do is where all the doors open.
Exactly. So the ego just wants whatever is instant. This is the ego. Instant. So it's the vessel that's like just me. And when we when you extract the soul from the ego, in those moments, so I have a decision. I either invest in myself and say, what if I make it? And what if I'm successful? And that's going to be a lot of work or whatever it is, or scary, or people aren't going to like me or whatever, all the different fears. And I push and say, I want it. And I don't just want it because I have to. I don't just want it because I love money. I want it because look at who needs me. Look at what I can contribute to the world.
Wow.
Right? Wow. So you tie it into contribution. And for a lot of people, I mean, look at any inspirational story. It's the same framework. I was a loser. I didn't do the blah, 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 blah. And then, almost overdosed. And then I realized my family needs me. And then I realized, I need to really, for my grandmother, to make them proud, to the whatever. It's always tied into doing for others. No success story is just, I woke up, I felt, the first part of my life, I felt like a loser. And then one day I'm like, screw being a loser, I want money. And then I just made it. There's always something deeper going on. You don't just change your nature because you woke up in the right side of bed. Changing your nature from ego to soul requires attaching yourself to a positive why.
That's such a good answer.
So
that just deepened so many things for me and made so many things click. And I really hope for our listeners it did the same, because that was a very powerful framework.
So let's think, what is a career move that I'm maybe hesitant to make?
Should we apply that to the framework, the MESy framework?
Yeah. Oh, is there a framework? I don't know.
The MES. Apply it to the MES, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Oh, great.
You know this. You've been through this before.
Did we do this last time?
We did.
Oh, great.
Okay, but this time I want to do it a little differently. Okay. I think we should ask our listeners thought-provoking questions that they can be asking themselves rather than like me asking you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to present a mental, emotional, spiritual framework question. And then I want you to also present a question. So my first question for mentally would be, are your career choices driven by logic or limiting beliefs? What would your mentally be? Because I feel like you're about to ask a question. So that would be, yeah, what was it?
No, I was going to say,
think about
if you're listening to this and you're seeing that the topic is somewhat related with career, you're going through something. You're thinking about it. And we're all thinking about our next move in our career, our next move in our job. You can also apply this in other places, but what's one career shift that you're thinking of doing? And instead of just do it and plow through, before that, what's your why?
Mentally, what is your why?
What is your why? I think that would be a good prompt, because that's the stuff that hits to your identity. Because remember, who we really are is a spark of God.
The soul.
And is our soul and is a contributing force. We are beings of sharing. So why am I doing it is for the sake of sharing. That's your why, right? I need to show up for my family. I need to, I have 17 albums recorded and I never actually released any of them.
Right.
Well, what is your why? That's going to push you, because if you don't have a strong why from your soul, your ego is going to give you all the whys, all the excuses of why not.
The whole kitchen sink.
Whole kitchen sink. All right, I'll let you take over the rest.
So emotionally, my question emotionally would be, are you fulfilled and energized, or are you drained and disillusioned? What would be your emotional?
Yes, the emotional prompt.
Yeah. I hope you guys are asking yourself these questions while we're asking you. Really think about these, because this can get you unstuck. I hate that word.
I just, as a little, I'm very sensitive to prompts. I don't like the are you this or are you that.
Okay.
I would rather where are you this and where are you that.
Oh, I like that.
We're not all just one or the other. Like, I'm so totally drained or I'm totally energized. Great, bye.
No, I mean, it's definitely multifaceted.
Yeah. So where in your career, what's draining you in your career? Where are you feeling like this isn't working? There's this meeting that I'm pulled into that's just, I don't need to be in this meeting. And it's just kind of draining me. Not based on a true story. I love all my meetings.
Watch out.
Watch out. I know. I'm talking about office meetings. Or certain projects that I'm involved in. It's is this really me? Is it draining me? And let's identify what is it about my work, my career that I love. Let's identify that. That's going to help your why. So the emotional, right?
Yeah.
Where am I drained versus where am I charged?
And I think it's so interesting that career is so emotional. And it should be. Because I don't think a lot of people give it that. And no wonder it ripples out into your life in ways that can either be chaotic or calm. Even just in this conversation, I'm really realizing how there is that deeper charge of it is your purpose. It is alignment. Not for everyone, but it really, really can be. So spiritually, my question would be, does your current path feel connected to your higher calling? Or are you ignoring nudges from within?
That's a great prompt. Are you ignoring nudges from within? Because I do feel like the soul never stops knocking.
I mean, how many times, I love this, like, I don't know where I heard, I might have been something on Instagram, or it's like first
the source of all inspiration.
Right. No, literally. At first you get, like, you fall on your face, and then, no, that's not how it goes. It's like, first you get a knock on your door, and then you get a little first you get a tap on the shoulder, and then you ignore it. Then you get a knock on your door, and then someone takes you and throws you down the stairs. It's like, those are the nudges from the universe that are like, is this right for, like, for instance, like in a relationship, it's like, this isn't right for you. Hey, they've got a wandering eye. Next thing. Hey, they're on a date with someone else. Hey, they fully cheated on you. When do you wake up to that calling? And I think those, like, little nudges from within with your career, it's like, how many times are you walking into the office anxious every single day? Does your boss make you break out in hives? Like, where are we actually are you getting sick, like, all the time? Because this shows up chronically in our body. So I feel like that's very much of, like, do you feel, like, totally, like, disconnected? Or yeah. So what's your spiritual question that we can have our mess makers listen to?
Yeah, the spiritual question. Oh, wish I had time to prepare this.
Sorry, I threw this at you. Yes. I didn't know I was going to ask these questions.
Give me a prompt. I'm not AI. I'm HI, human intelligence. That's the thing.
I know.
Yeah, I used to call it organic intelligence, but then I heard somebody say human intelligence. Spiritual prompt. Look, it's all really one, right? You're making your mental and your emotional spiritual, but the spiritual prompt, I would say, has to do with, it's funny because for me, like, spirituality for me is very integrated into everything, so it's hard for me to, like, differentiate. It's like it's beautiful. It's like a marinade. It's like, it's woven into everything. So, like, you're trying to take your thoughts and make it spiritual, so it's mental. You're trying to take your emotion and, like, direct your emotion towards a positive place. All of that is very spiritual. So then what is spiritual in the mess? How do you define spirit? Like, how do you define mental versus emotion versus spiritual? That's
a great question. For me, it comes down to logic for mental. Emotionally, it comes down to, like, actual, like, that feeling in my body. And spiritual is just integration of all of the things, what you're saying. But I think it's just the deeper question of, like, are there not those thoughts or feelings that are coming in? Are they something, is it a sign? Is it a nudge from the universe? Is it a literal knock on your door? Is it someone saying something? Is it something you hear in a song? It's like, what is pulling you into that alignment is what spirituality is to me. And then also the deeper fabric of, like, everything integrated together.
Yeah. So mental, is your career choice smart?
Yeah.
Or dumb?
Emotionally, are you happy or sad?
Or sad? Are you spiritual or not? Good prompts. Good prompts. Think about that one. This is a comedy channel.
This is now a comedy podcast? Thank you for...
Yes. You're going to have so much work editing this.
I know.
This is great.
I don't know if I'm going to edit this out. This is too good.
Okay. We're here.
I
think the spiritual thing is about your identity and your soul, and, like, is this really me?
Oh, so well said.
So, like, that's the question. Is this really me, or is this just a job? Because the best careers are you.
It's like becoming a doctor. Are you doing this because you want PhD or doctor or whatever behind or in front of your name, or are you doing this because you genuinely want to help people?
Right, and you're passionate about it, and that's your thing. Like, you know, some people who write books, they call themselves, I'm an author. Which is interesting because when they're saying I'm an author, they're not writing a book right when they're saying it, but they've identified with being an author. Like, this is what I do. Like, this is my passion. This is part of who I am. And it's something that's not going away.
You know what's so interesting? And I just realized this when you started saying that. I never said I'm a model. When people would be like, oh, what do you do? I never said I'm a model. Never. I've been modeling since I was 12 years old. Never out of my mouth have I said, I'm a model. I say, I work in fashion. Because I didn't feel like the identity of that. Because what model to me came with was an ego, a persona, look at me, and all this stuff that was just not JoJo at all. But now if people are like, oh, what do you do? And I say I work in aviation. What do you do? I'm a flight attendant. Now I say it, or I have a podcast. And that's so interesting to me because I actually do identify with being a flight attendant because of how much joy that brings me, how I get to curate experiences for people, making people happy. Like, that is so much of my essence and my being. And being a prop in a world of photography or whatever it was that modeling brought me, and thank you again, universe, for giving me that opportunity for so many years. And probably, I mean, it's still in my life, but
now you're role modeling. Yeah.
That's so nice.
But don't tell people I'm a role model. That's just ego.
Correct.
What do you do? I'm a role model.
Well, you said no. Just kidding. No, but that's so interesting because I never, like, even my friends will be like, no, she never says she's a model. She's always like, and then my friends are like, Joe. And I'm like, well, you can tell them, but I don't, that's not what I identify with.
I feel like there's, part of it is also, we did it since you were 12, right? So anything that's like, was it really your choice? But also the idea of like being a model is not something that anybody could just be like, this is my passion, I want to do it. There's kind of like,
People do say that. People want to be models.
Right. But to be a model, you also need to kind of you have to like look the part in a way. Right? There's for some places they won't hire you if you don't look a certain way or you're not a certain height. So, for example, I'm sure there's plenty of basketball players that they're just in basketball because they're tall. And somebody told them, dude, you should be a basketball player. Or football players that they're like big and they're like, you should play football. So it's like, was it really their choice? Right? Because you're kind of born into something, is it really your choice? And if it's not totally your choice, then it's not your identity.
Well, I think you just kind of wrapped that all up really beautifully. Well, Yosef, thank you so much for coming on Inside Out. This is such an interesting conversation. It went so many directions. I love that it can just flow and unfold. Where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me. So first and foremost, in terms of identity, I'm a Kabbalah teacher. I'm a coach, life coach, spiritual coach. I work for the Kabbalah Center, and you can find me on Kabbalah.com. If you want Paramount Plus and extra content from me beyond what's on Kabbalah.com, you can go to nas.io/daily soul inspiration.
And this will all be linked in the show notes so that people can easily find you.
Yes, exactly. So right now, the platform is just for the WhatsApp chat, but I'm going to do more things, and we'll see how I can provide more content and value in an organized way for people. But right now, it's every day I record or write some inspiration, something Kabbalistic, something from the energy of the week.
And that is a subscription.
That is a subscription model, exactly.
Great.
And you can find me on Instagram. There's nothing much there yet, but maybe later this year I'll do more things. So
you never know.
At Yosef Yesh on Instagram.
All right.
Thank you, Jojo.
Thank you. And you guys know where to find me at _insideout.podcast. Make sure you guys share this episode with a friend. Always share, rate, review, do all of the things. Check out the show notes. Go sign up for Yosef's Daily Soul platform, where you can get 20% off your first 6 months with code INSIDEOUT. Also linked in the show notes.
I would also suggest one thing. Take the time. I'm a big fan of the phrase, take the time. Take the time to think of 3 people in your life that are going through some sort of career identity shift, or that they're thinking about it. Send them this episode.
That's your job. Send this episode to 3 people who are going through a career and identity shift. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.